Okay, here we are. Hello. We are gonna make some bowls today. So let's see here. We'll adjust this camera around just a little bit. So, goodness. Right about there. Oh, oh, there we go. So today we're gonna make some bowls. And if you guys have any questions about what's going on or what I'm doing, I'm just gonna throw some kind of regular bowl forms today. And I thought, hey, we'll just live stream this out. It'd be fun. Just talk to everybody and see what everybody's up to. If you have any comments or anything, just holler on in. So here we go. We're pushing the clay down a little. Let me get this down just a little. There we go. So I'm making some bowls that we can sell later for like an empty bowls kind of event we're gonna have on our campus. So I figured, well, and it feels like a good day to make some bowls here in the studio. And I knew I lost my needle tool somewhere. Very typical John move. There it is. Oh my goodness. There we go. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to make an adjustment to one of my video settings here. Get too exciting. Oh, I did that wrong. Oh. All right, so let's make some bowls today. Whoa. There we go. That was a little thick, so we'll go down a little bit more. Seems a little better. So we'll throw these bowls and then I'll trim them up tomorrow. So that's the plan. Hopefully I'll make a whole bunch of them because we're gonna try to sell these later for to raise money for our what we call our food pantry on the campus that I teach on. It's called Barney's Pantry. So that's the hope. And so I just I mainly it's my students are hopefully going to make the bowls because it's for clay club, and clay club on our campus will then try to sell them. So here I'm doing some basic throwing stuff, and if you have any questions about what I'm doing, just feel free to, I think you can only chat here, so type them into the chat. I'll keep looking up at the chat. Hi everyone. And if you have any question about what I'm doing or just want to talk about things, about whatever, right? I thought it'd just be more fun for me to throw with you guys here than just sit here and throw by my lonesome. So we'll do this for a little bit. So there, so I basically made a basic bowl form here. We'll get a good look at it from there. Ooh, that's a pretty good angle. That looks good. We'll try that. And then we'll just throw. Oh, hi, Virginia. How are you? Where are you from? What part of the country or world are you watching from? So I live in Portland, Oregon, and my name is John. And I teach at West Kentucky. I used to teach at West Kentucky Community Technical College. I now teach at Mount Hood Community College. Oh, all right. North Carolina. That's a fun part of the world. They have some great pottery out there. Penland's out there. I mean, I'm sure you know all this, but when I went out to Ashland, it was such a beautiful place. And I was like, oh. And then Penland is so good and so nice. Yes, the mountains. And there's so many great potters and artists out there. Such a great awesomeness to see that. And yeah, it's an amazing place. Great. Great. A couple people are joining us. That's awesome. If you have any questions about what I'm doing or anything, or you just want to talk about stuff or questions, I teach at my community college, so I'm used to taking questions. And there's so many good places around the country to live, and it's such an amazing place that we live in here. At least I'm here in the United States in Portland. It's just so beautiful out here. So nice. Thank you for joining the live stream. So I'm finishing the rim, so that's my first one. It's the first bowl, of the day, so it always starts off kind of slow. This is reclaimed clay as well. So the reclaimed clay that our school that we use is what we call a little short, so it doesn't like to be stretched around that much. The weather, I hope, from around here in Portland, I hope gets better soon. Let's think here. Anything else? So we're just going to cut this bowl off and send it over to first bowl of the day done. Woo! Bam! All right, next bowl. So I promised my students that I would make 30 bowls for this empty bowls thing. So I'm hoping I can get there today. Try to throw them all in one weekend, I hope, or at least get them all started. Oh yeah, the COVID stopped a lot of different things from happening. Yeah, it was a rough deal, COVID. So I can already feel that this piece wasn't really centered that well. So it's going to take me a little bit more time to get it centered. There, let's go for the side view. There we go. Look at that. So I'm working to get it all centered up. Yeah. Portland is such a beautiful place, especially in the spring. It is really nice out here. So much fun. Oh, that centered up okay, though. This piece of clay. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. There we go. So let's check the depth here with my needle tool. So was there any particular place around Portland you were thinking about visiting, or not Portland, but around Oregon? Were you planning on going to the coast or Portland, or to like the Shakespeare Festival, or Southern Oregon, to like this down by California? There's tons of good places, right, in Oregon to visit. There we go. Right, so here. Oh. So there's a question in the chat about black slip and about the Mason State. I think we use this. I'm trying to remember. We mix up when we're making underglazes. We make up so much, so we use, I think, the 6600, right? But in general, though, we buy the Amico Black because we found we buy it by the gallon jug because we just found that works so good. And we tried to mix up our own homemade version of slips and underglazes for black, and we found that works a little bit better. So we have some black underglaze that we mix up ourselves, and I believe we are using the 6600 Mason stain off the top of my head, and or we may make it up ourselves. The homemade version isn't great. But if, hey, so why don't we do this? Cindy and you, Candy and YouTube, you can, why don't you email me and I'll send you the recipe that we use. So, you can find me by going to the Mount Hood website and looking up art department. My name is John Hasegawa. So you can find my email, or you can contact me through my website and I'll send you the formula that we use for our black underglaze. And I think that we use a combination of, there's might be two different versions. We might use a combination of cobalt and iron oxide to make one, and then we might be using the 6600 as well to make up our own version. But it's been so long because we haven't had to mix it up since the start of COVID, because we mixed up such a huge amount. So there, yeah, I gave you a couple different ways you can contact me. None of the things that we mix up are secret. So if you have any questions about underglazes or glazes or something, feel free just to ask. So one thing that we did at my studio is at the start of COVID, we had people starting, instead of working at the studio, that whole COVID first year, we had everybody work from home doing ceramics. And so we had to figure out a way to kind of streamline the process because we couldn't send like 18 glazes home with everybody. So we made up our own underglazes and started mixing up those. And so the students would just use those. We sent them home. And so now we still use those underglazes. We mixed up so much though that we mixed up 5 gallons of each underglaze. We got plenty left. So we haven't had to mix up any new underglazes since before. Yeah. So that's the story in underglaze. Wow, these bowls are coming out great. I mean, I haven't really thrown like bowls, really just sat down and tried to crank some bowls out for a long time. And this is just going awesome. Goodness. I mean, that was just my first two. So, you know how throwing goes. Usually at the beginning, it goes kind of badly. These bowls are actually turning out pretty good, but hopefully they'll get better even. Oh, goodness. Look at that. First two done. Let me move that over there. Oh, okay. So only 28 more to go, I guess. So I told my students I'd make 28 as kind of almost a challenge to I told my students I'd make 30, just more of a challenge to myself and them, right? So I told my students I'd make 30 bowls, right, as a challenge so that they could so that they would start making bowls too. So I'm super excited about that. But I said, if I'll make 30, how many eat? You know, if I make 30 as a teacher to sell, to raise money for for our campus food pantry, how many will you make, kind of thing. So I kind of challenged them. We also have a very good cone 6 clear glaze that we mix up, and just with just kind of going back to the glazing and glaze question, we have a very good cone 6 glaze, clear, that we're willing to give to you. It fits our clay body really well, which is like a B mix type of clay with a little bit of grog. Cone 6, by the way. So Candy, if you want that, I'll give that to you too. It's really fantastic. It goes really well with any of the underglazes we have. Like I said, it works really well with cone 6. The cone 6 like B mix like stoneware. Right, so this bowl, I ripped the piece of clay in half. I figured I'd try to make 2 smaller ones. I'm gonna make a variety of different sizes for these people for my clay club, my campus clay club. That's our student. That always is interesting, doing mixing and using oxide washes. That's always fun. What I usually would do is when I'm not a big wash guy, I don't use a lot of washes, but what I would use for myself, if I wanted to do, is I would just thin out the underglazes that we already have around the studio. for me, if you look at my hands, I have never been known to be a delicate person and a fine person, like as far as how I apply glazes and stuff. And for me, washes have never been the best thing because they're so intense, right? Iron oxide or cobalt oxide, and those washes, they're so powerful and dense that I always apply them too thickly when I'm using them. So what I do is I use the underglazes like washes, and I would thin them down. And so I love doing that because the underglazes offer me much more control. Wouldn't that be an interesting, fun thing to do? It'd be a more of a decorating thing. That would be lots of fun. That was a very good suggestion. That's from Pat's pot page. I'll have to check out your pot page. That was a good suggestion. Any other comments from people or any questions? Yeah, so here, just making a smaller version of the bowl I just made. And so since these are made to be like given away, I'm not really trying to keep them one consistent size. I just want to make different versions, different bowls, I think, that look good. This clay or something is doing really good today. For me, just starting off the day, as far as throwing, usually I don't usually end up throwing away the first few, just kind of getting back into the rhythm again of throwing. These ones turned out pretty good. This one's looking okay. This outside, I wish this outside I'd done a little bit of better job if you look closely on the underside, but I can trim that away. Oh, so let's change the camera angle. Let's make it a little lower for you guys. Turn it that way. You guys could see that action. And just cut that off. And I love these kind of bowls because they're so undercut. I can use my fingers like this. See how I'm doing that with my fingers? So my fingers are just kind of spread out like this, palms up, and I just go underneath and I can pick that up like that and just move it over to my bat. Bam. So this is the other half of that same piece. I ripped that ball in half to make sure that it'd be easier. So I always like to introduce myself again. So Pat, I assume your name is Pat. Where are you from? I am from Portland, Oregon. So that's where I'm from in the United States, because people could be from really far abroad because things get broadcast all over the place. So here we go, making more. Yeah, so if you're in the chat, just introduce yourself. Say howdy, right? All right, so center that up. Here we go. Down we go. So this is a smaller piece of clay. I would say a pound, less than a pound. Less than a pound. 3/4 pound. So there we go. Opening her up. Like that. We can go top down for a little bit. So there, you can really see what my hands are doing here. From the inside. There we go. Going up and out like that. Letting it down again, letting it down again. Push, push, and then head out. That. So when I throw these bowls, I throw them up and out like that. You see that? So I squeeze harder down below here. And I squeeze harder below because that clay has a tendency not to move as well, as quickly or as easily. And then as I go up and as I'm flaring it out, that clay will get thinner as I go out anyways. So I don't have to apply as much pressure. And the clay up here seems to just thin out a little bit more easily. So here we go. Here we go again. Pressure and up. There we go. There we go. And then clean up the inside. Looks a little rough, so I'm going to sponge that down just a little bit. And then come back with my nice fun rib and kind of do the couple shaping passes with it to get it looking pretty good. The idea for me is to, when using my fingers, to get the bowl as close as I can to the shape that I think looks good, right? And then using the rib, it's a lot easier. Using this rib shape, it's a lot easier for me to get the shape that I think is, than to dial in the shape. I'm not spending too much time, right, having to do too much fixing and ribbing it out, right? It goes pretty quickly. Now this bowl, I think I can just kind of tell. For me, I didn't really start off with a big enough piece of clay, so I really ended up thinning it out just a little bit too much here. So let me see. I'm having a hard time. Let's see here. Give me a second, because I see a question in the chat, which I'm having a hard time getting to. So let me see here. Let's see here. Yeah, so I do alter the rims. That's a good question. So someone asked in the chat if I ever alter the rims in my thing, and I do. So you want to do this one? Let's do this one a little bit. So there's a number of different things, right, that we can do. That's a very good thing. I haven't done this in a while, so let's do one. So I just rounded the rim, and so I didn't have to cut the rim off. But I'm just going to go one more sweep around. Okay, here we go. So let's do this one. Let's alter the rim. Let's do it. So let's think about this. Let's do from the top down. So here, there's a number of different ways. You can just start pushing things around, but maybe I want to do something in particular, like I have a plan or a shape that I'm thinking about. So I like odd numbers a lot. So I'm thinking maybe I'll divide this rim up into 3. So I kind of put a mark there. Now I do have a gaugey thing that I like to bring out and lay on top, and that will help me see the rim. But let's try it this way. So I put a mark there. You guys could see the mark kind of. And then I just try to guesstimate 2 other marks here with my fingers. And then what I'm going to do is roll those around till the other mark comes around and see how close I am. Pretty close. So those 2 are a little bit narrow. Let's see. So I'm actually pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go for it. So there's one mark. There's the other marks here and here. So I think we're good. So now what we'll do is let's just try this, altering the rim this way. Let's just do this. So I'm going to put pressure here. I'm going to use this rib like this. I'm going to push this in. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm a little nervous. There we go. That didn't feel aggressive enough, so we'll do it again. There we go. And then from here, I'm going to do it there again. There we go. And then here again. Then we'll do here again. There we go. All right, so then you can see how that creates that. I haven't done that in a really long time, and that felt actually really good to do that. So the issue that this creates, so that's fun, and it creates this kind of whoop pattern. But when you look at it, it does sometimes create an uneven rim. You see, because I had to push that up, sometimes these parts that are risen don't rise at the same amount. So it makes it sometimes harder to trim, because when I flip this baby over and trim it, it can end up in a little bit and kind of weird, right? Not flat or even in the right way. So let's undercut this. There we go. Woohoo! Awesome. Super awesome. So, and I used to make a ton of these. Like, I used to love making these, and they were so much fun. And I love the three pattern, the 3 kind of lobes here. It's just a lot of fun. So that is bowl number 4 out of 30 that I want to make eventually this weekend. Goodness. So 30 seems like I'm just going to hurt myself. So what I'm doing now is I made these balls of clay ahead of time. I'm going to cut them all in half, because I'm going to go with some really small bowls, I guess. Another thing is that we're going to end up selling these for not that expensive. So that was a really good question. Oh, you're in Skagit Valley in Washington. So I grew up in Seattle, by the way. So I know exactly where you are. Right, spent my first high school and everything up to high school in Seattle. Born in Seattle, grew up in Seattle. So yeah, and then I went to school at University of Puget Sound. That's where I learned pottery, first class. Just took a pottery class there. It was lots of fun. Let's try something else here. Oh, so because I altered that rim, now all I'm thinking about is how to alter rims. Oh my goodness, what have we started? Right? Because now all I think about now, it's like really just like anything, People think that as a potter or as an artist, as you get better, you get to control more clay, you get to do more different things. But in some ways, as you get better, you actually get to do less things. And I know it doesn't make that much sense, but like now that I altered that rim, all I'm thinking about now is how I'm going to alter this next rim. So I kind of don't have a choice. I got to think about what I want to do here to alter this rim. There we go. So this, there we go. Let's go from the side. Let's change up the view. There we go. So here you see I'm going up and out as we go up. There we go. Oh, look at that boy. That's looking really good. All right. Then on the inside, always take care of the inside by mopping out the extra water before I rib it, right? I just want to clean it out. I've always used a lot of water when throwing. It's just the way how I was taught is I never worry about how much water I'm using. I'm more worried about getting the best pot possible. And I know other people teach and have learned other ways, and I think whatever way you do it, you just need to do it the way that works best for you, whether that's a lot of water, whether it's no water, whether it's some people throw with like beer and other things, right? There we go. Yes. So here we go. So let's think about, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this bowl here. Seems like it's going to be okay. Even though I started off with just a teeny weeny amount of clay, I can still make something. And I'm still thinking about how I'm going to alter this rim as compared to the other rim. So let's think about this. What can I do? There's a couple different techniques that I sometimes that I've tried in the past, but makes me a little nervous trying because I haven't actually done these sort of alterations in a very, very long time. So I'm going to take a shot at it though, round the rim. So let's talk about round altering the rim and everything. One thing that you will notice is about rims in general are like the rims are the end, right? As you come up, the rim is the end of the pot, right? And for people, when they look at things, they see edges of the pot really clearly, right? And that's probably the most prominent, if you had to pick one spot, it's really prominent in the vision and way people see the pot in the end. So what I'm going to do is when I alter the rim, I'm really changing probably one of the most important parts of the pot, meaning that's one of the places that are easiest to see. So if I just block off that rim, you see how it becomes very hard for you to see what's going on with the pot, right? If I block off the bottom part of the pot, it's still really easy for you to kind of guess what's happening below. So, and it's not just that this is all in shadow and everything. Let's say if I keep it, so even just by doing that, you see it's actually very difficult for you to see what the pot really is. The minute you can see the rim, you kind of have an idea about what the pot is. So what you do to the rim and how you finish the rims is probably super important for how people see your pottery. So let's change it up. So let's do something else with this rim, right? We did the other rim just a second ago. So let's do this one. So once again, I'm going to divide it into thirds. So here I put one mark there, and then let's go from the top down. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. I'm going to try to zoom in as far in as we can. It is. Oh, I'm not going to split the rim. Oh my goodness. I have never been all that good at split rim. So what I'm going to do is just alter the rim. So here, this rim goes, I'm putting that at 12 and then just eyeballing it. Oop, I put a little blob of clay in there. Just eyeballing. I'm going to re-round this rim a little bit. I could try a split rim, but that's okay. So one of the things that I'm regretful for not really learning is learning how to do a split rim. I've always felt that I always thought that doing things was to learn them is really important. So you see, I put a mark there at 12 o'clock. I'm going to take my two other fingers like this, and you see how I'm spacing them out. What I want to do is space them out equally here at a third each, right? So I kind of hold them, and I want to make sure I'm evenly spaced from the 6 o'clock like this as best I can. And this is just a guess, and I could get out my little, I have a little measuring tool from MKM. You know, it's that flat piece of plastic that has all those lines. I could bring that out, but like when I started doing this, I didn't have that tool. So I just used to do it this way. And then what I do, okay. So then what I do here is I just hold my fingers out at that I don't know what these numbers would be. Like 1, 2, 3, like 4, I guess, and 7. Is that right? Like that. And then I hold them like that, and I just wait and I let them spin to see how close I was. You see that? So this is the old 12 o'clock, and that's that one. And I spin. What am I doing here? I'm just checking my work to see if I was close and if I could really use those marks. You see that? So now it feels like those marks are good. So then what we're going to do here is we are going to do this way. So remember the other one, I just did 1 push. I held the rib and I did 1 push. This one, we are going to do 2 push. So I'm going to push this rim out at each third like this, right? So push out and push in like that, like that. I'll do again one here. Push out, push in like that. Then push out, push in like that. Try to do the similar mark all the way around. Now, I don't know, is that looking great? I don't know, right? I'm not that excited about that one, but that's what it is. I could try messing around with it more. Like, for example, what else could I do? Let's say you want this to have more of whatever it is, right? I can put pressure back here and I could float, I can kind of push this area out a little bit more. I could do this, but I would want to do the same thing on each one. Just a little bit. Now, am I really great at this? Absolutely not. I went through a phase where I was making some of these kinds of things, and then that phase kind of went away, right? So let's look at it from the side, and there we go. Nice little kind of bowl thing. They are some potters who have these techniques down, like when they touch the rim and they mess around with their bowls, they are absolutely amazing. One that comes to mind is Martha Grover. When she does her rims, look her up. She's out of Maine. When she messes around with her rims and her things like this, it's absolutely amazingly gorgeous what she ends up with. Another person that does a lot of beautiful altering of rims, feet, and everything is Deborah Schwarzkopf. She's out of Seattle. She does amazing work too. So I've seen Martha several times because when she was in graduate school, I was working as a studio tech at the same college where she was. Deborah, I've never seen in action. It's always been a dream of mine to see her working and attend a workshop that she would be teaching, because the work is absolutely amazing. Always be thinking about workshops, right? And thinking about, oh, I split rim. Someone's okay. Okay. So, okay. That makes me super nervous. But so, what I'm doing is this ball here would be for a regular little pot. I'm just assuming that a split rim would require more clay. I've done them before. Oh man, let me think. Do I really want to try it? All right. So if you in the chat have tips for making a split rim, I mean, I know I have to leave the rim thick, right? Where's the critical moment in a split rim, if anybody knows? I'll try it live. I'm willing to try it live in front of you guys. But maybe someone Google it or something and tell me, other than leaving the rim thick. I've tried it in the past. It just wasn't my thing. But because we're here and it's kind of fun, right? Oh, great. April, thank you for joining us. Yay. So you're a pottery teacher. So April, what do you like most about teaching ceramics? If you tell me what you like most, I'll tell you what I like most. So we're going to try a split rim because somebody asked. But just note that I have never really felt like I've done it I've never been all that successful at split rims. Like, I've never really made one that I thought was really cool, but I thought, well, why not try it? For you guys. Oh, Pat, sorry. That'll be, yeah. Catch on the replay. See ya. Thank you for joining. Here we go. So I'm going to try a split rim. I know that I have to leave the rim thick, and my other assumption is I think I have to leave a little bit more beefiness in the body. I was throwing the walls of those bowls really thin, the ones I was just doing. So I assume those are my two assumptions. So let's try it, and what the heck, right? Try something that you've never tried before is always fun. Here we go, throwing up and out here. So I have to be really conscious of this rim because I have to leave some extra clay there to split it, right? I think what this is going to be good for, the reason why I want to try it is because when people watch other people experience people throw, when we throw, it's just kind of magical looking and you don't really get to see the process and the struggle, right? Because it just magically happens, right? And it's kind of fun to see that because when you go home and try something at home, it's not the same, right? You think it should come easily because all these extra expert potters make it look so easy. But in reality, everyone has to go through the struggle, right? Of learning something new. Of the only reason when you watch somebody throw that looks really good is just because they've done it thousands of times and failed thousands of times. So you see that on my other bowls, I was really thinning this part out. This time I'm leaving it a little bit thick, and my hope is I can attempt the split rim. Now I really don't know. All right, so there is a comment, kind of making a gallery, just don't push inside down. Okay, we'll do that. Just kind of like making a gallery. Okay, so I can make a gallery. All right, so it's just instinct for me to try to make this kind of thin up here. So I'm just trying to prep the bowl for the split rim. So there, that's feeling good. I left some strength right below here, more thickness than what I normally would, right? Use the round side of a wood knife and split the rim. Pat's right. That's what you make. Okay, we'll try it. All right, so this tool, I guess, huh? Let me clean up the bowl a little bit. I was so anxious. I was just about ready to try it, but I forgot I haven't finished shaping the bowl. So what do I mean by shaping the bowl? I just scrubbed out the inside here, right? And so I'm also going to try to smooth it out a little. Let's back this up. We'll give you a new kind of view for this. Right, for that, like that more. All right, so I'm going to try to shape it a little bit, and using this tool, you'll be able to see that I'm also cleaning off all the excess clay. I just want it to have a more elegant shape. This bowl is also slightly different than the other bowls. Like this has a little bit of area where it's flat on the bottom. And I think that this shape, in some ways, I'll have the more vertical side for this. You'll see it on the outside here, and I think that will make it easier on me to split the rim, and I'll explain it here in a second, right? Because I want some extra strength because I haven't really done too much of this before. Might be 10 years since I did a split rim, and I never was great at it. All right, so what I'm doing here is, whoa, okay, we'll just leave that there. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving this more vertical so it has more strength when I flip the rim. Yeah, yeah, I get it, right? About the struggle, and it's only on your wheel, right? That's always the case, right? All right, so I think I got it. So then I guess we're supposed to use this tool here. Golly, I don't understand how this tool would work. It just doesn't, it seems so chubby. Maybe I would feel better if I use like this, maybe. I'm trying to just use the end of my needle tool and see. Ooh, that's not working. I got a tool. I think I got it. Where's my wooden rib? All right, we're going to try it this way. I'm going to try using the corner of this knife of this spatula thing. I'm going to try to use one of these corners to split it, I think is what we're going to try. This is not the tool probably to use for this. Oh, God. I don't know. There. Then I'm going to try to fold that back up, I guess. So this is what I get for not either. I think I must have skipped that class day or something. Just going to hump it back together. Ooh, bad. Ooh. All right, we're going to, I don't know. That's what I get for trying something I haven't tried before. So underneath, I'm pinching this back together. Oh, I almost pinched it back together. All right, we're gonna, I guess what I'd call that done for now. We'll bring it back in a few minutes. You know what? We're gonna mess with it now because I'm never gonna come back to this. So there, we'll do the thirds trick again. Right? The same thing that I did before. Okay, let's try it. I think I'll just push it out, I guess. Push it out and push it in like that. Push it out, push it in like that. Push it out, push it in like that. Push it out, push it in like that. That. Then we'll try this trick again where we push this out, push this in. Oh, that looks horrible. We're not even going to keep this. All right, that was a good experiment. All right, back to normal throwing. Back to normal throwing. My goodness. Here we go. So that's what I get for trying something I already know that I'm not good at. And it's kind of, I just, doing it in front of, online, in front of you guys is just too, oh, all right. I got a, Candy has given a suggestion. I should look at Gary's work, Gary Jackson. Thank you for that suggestion. Awesome. All right, so here we go. Making pot some more. Press this down. So I'm switching back to a small piece of clay. This one is having a rough go at centering. There we go. You know, even though that last piece could have been a bowl, I'm not too big a fan of putting out something into the world that I'm not really happy with. Because once I get it fired, it's forever, you know, so. Go, switch to that view. And anything else going on in the world? Anything big news happened today that we would be worried about? So this is going to be a little bowl because I started off with such a little piece of clay. And I have a little rib. What happened to it? There she is. So little bowl, right? Little rib. Because the big bowl, the big ribs just don't stuff down in here too well. Now, many of you, this is all kind of, if you see anything that I'm doing that you have questions about, just holler them out. This one's just going to be like a little bowl. And the good thing about throwing bowls for like an empty bowls thing is that you don't really have to worry about sets or anything. You can just throw one bowl after the other. They don't have to match. They don't have to be in a certain style or anything. So actually, it's really liberating to do. And it's lots of fun. Oh, what should you do to make sure they stack nicely? Oh, no. That's a hard question for me. In general, you will notice that plates always stack nicely because they're really open. The minute something really starts closing in, they won't stack nicely anymore, unless they're having a really distinct tapering as they go down. So, and if you put a taller foot on them. So making them bowls that stack nicely is hard to do in some ways. I would say look at what the bowls that are in your, like, that you have in your cupboard, and then look at how they're stacking, and you know, sometimes that might give you some inside knowledge on how to do that. I think there are a few different ways on how to do that. Oh, what's going on here? Is that this thing? There we go. So my camera is on a very precarious little thing, so it likes to wobble around. Here we go. Back down. I was making these udon bowls, and they stack really nicely because they come together and have they have a taller foot, and then they come down narrow like that. So I think bowls that come more vertically have a much harder time stacking. Like the way you do thirds. So I don't understand what is thirds? I mean, like the video? Are you talking about the video? Like how I have 3 views, I guess? I guess that's what you mean. Woohoo! Making pottery. So I love this. So I haven't been throwing much because I've been doing a lot of hand building lately, like hand building, slab building, and really I started off as a thrower. I love throwing, but it just came to a point where I wasn't that excited about what I was throwing anymore. And so just the activity of doing it didn't seem as exciting enough. So I've really not been throwing much, but man, that just doing this action today is so fun, right? Just doing it, throwing is an amazing thing. It's really my first love was the wheel. So here we go. We could throw upsy daisy. Be careful, John. The one thing I always got to be careful is I just get too aggressive on these rises, and look at that. So let's get a look at my big air bubble. Let's pop that right now. So just get up and close, and then there's a couple different ways you could pop air bubbles. You can stab it a million billion times like this, or you could just take your thing and slice like right above it like that. Oh, I felt it cut through. So I slice, and then from below, I can kind of push that air out a little, boop. And then there's another like baby air bubble right there that we can cut through there, puncture, and then push out like that. Whoosh, done. So try to take care of that sooner rather than later. I felt it going around, but I was too, I don't know, working on the other part too. Deal with it. So it's already getting kind of thin, but through this next raise, I should be able to, dry it out a bunch. Should be able to get it right. There we go. So here, throwing up. There we go, getting close. Ooh, slow down, John. There's a bubbly part right there. Done. All right, so it feels good. So now we're gonna clean up a little bit. Let's go to the top view. Clean this up inside. Woohoo! There we go. So we're all familiar with that view, aren't we? The top-down look. And then I'm going to use a bigger rib today to rib this out. So here, just push this out here. Right, spend some time going around. Yeah. Then the part that I really like to focus on is down here. Ooh, another air bubble right there. Let's take care of that. Didn't feel that one. So, whoa, that's a big hole there. I see another one right there too. And I actually see the remnants of the ones that we popped earlier. So re-pop the, ooh, there's definitely an air bubble there. Take care of that. Ooh, it's definitely like a hole there. Like definitely very thin on that one. So hopefully just pushing this out a little bit should smooth those guys out. Let's do it again. Let's make this bowl nice and wide because we've been mainly doing these more upright ones. Now, normally if I knew I was going to make this bowl flare this far out, I would have thrown it wider to begin with. But just for fun, we're doing it this way, stretching it out rather than throwing it wider. There we go. And then I'll come back in here. Ooh, I didn't take care of this bottom yet. John. I should have taken care of this part is uneven in here. I should have taken care of that earlier. Bad John. Bad John. John. That's self-conscious John. Right? We're very like the insecurities of myself. All right, so now. Yes, that's a good thing about loving the teaching them how to fail. Correct. I do agree with that. Right. And I think this is just me talking really about students are they when especially on the wheel, they have to earn everything, meaning there's no easy way out of learning how to throw initially at the beginning, right? Most students are not very great at it because they think they know what they're going to do, and then they get on the wheel and they realize they had no idea what it was going to be and how hard it was going to be. And it's really great when later on they're successful and that hard work pays off, right? And they know that they've earned it, right? That's the best part, I think, for myself. There we go. Yes, I love teaching, by the way. That's like my other passion. I love making pottery, but really I love teaching as well. And really teaching is the other thing that I really love doing. So in my job, right, I get to do both. It's kind of like the dream job. I get to teach and make pots for a living and get to show people how to make pots. It's incredibly fun. All right, so let's see here. I need to make, this is number 6. I just dented the bottom, lifting it up. It's okay. That'll trim out later. Let's figure out how much more clay. Oh, all right, we're just gonna start ripping balls of clay in half here. Okay, here we go. So this is, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is number 8 or number 9 if you count the one that I messed up earlier. All right. So. All right. Thank you. Jared, thank you. All right. Here we go. Throwing today. Here we go. I'm going to squash down. Let's pull this mound in. So I'm going to squash this mound in a little bit more because it was a little wide. I want to go back to making the more round, narrow bottom bowls I was making, I don't know, like a half an hour ago. That's how I started. Those bowls are all turning out really good. So here, check the thickness of the bottom. That's groovy. Then go out and up, raise up a little bit. Oh, this is going to be fun. Then wet everything and squeeze up and go up and out. There we go. So much fun making that. So much fun making that. Going up. There we go. Oh, yeah, we're back in business now. Should have never stopped making these ones. These ones are just happening today. So it's really odd for me as a person, as a potter. It's just some days certain bowl shapes just happen really easily, and today this sort of bowl shape is just happening. Some days it's something else. Some days I have a really hard time making these, and I think it has a lot to do with the clay and my attitude about things in life and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I can force myself to make other things, but today, since I'm just making these bowls to sell for like an empty bowls thing, that they don't need a match. They don't have to be any particular size, right? Or anything. And they don't even have to be really known as mine. That I can kind of just make whatever I want. And these bowls are really happening. The shape is just going today. So it doesn't even matter how much clay I start with or anything. It's really nice. Oh. There we go. Round this top off. Once again, if you guys have any questions or anything about what's going on or what I'm doing or anything, we could talk about the weather or whatever we want to talk about. Pottery related, it was always fun. But, you know, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, here we go. That's bowl number 9. Yay. Bowl number 9. My hands are getting a little wet. Oosha! Bowl number 9. Running out of space to put my bowls. Oop. Oop, 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 oop. Okay, bowl number 9. Yes, the lids, that, and the ribs, there's good stuff. Oh, here we go. Oh, shah. Oh, this is a really small piece of clay. Goodness. For making a bowl. Like even a kind of, this would be even small for a cup. So someone's getting us, this will be just a small one, I guess. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Pull back. Wow, we're going to have to make this a really small footed bowl, I guess. Up and out. Here we go. Whoa, look at that. Woohoo, baby. Gotta love it. I mean, I'm just saying that not because I was good. I just love working in clay, right? It's just like puts me in such a good mood just doing that whole that's all those motions, and when the clay just kind of snaps around and does exactly what you're asking it to. That was really snappy. It may not end up being the best bowl, but it really just snapped into place and to shape really quickly. It just felt really good. I'm not that excited about the bowl itself though. And I lost my littlest rib. Oh, there it is. So we used, once again, we used the little rib for a little bowl. Help shape it a little bit. There we go. There we go. Here we go. Ooh, you know what we'll do? We'll do some bowls with flatter rims, like where I'll fold out the rim. That'll be the next bowl we do. We got to mix it up a little bit. We can't just keep making these bowls, right? It's very typical John. I don't really, I mix it up. The minute I start, it's my short attention span thing. I'm already thinking about the next one. Should keep thinking about this one because it's not done yet. There we go. All right, that's, where did I do that? Okay. Woo. Okay, let's do a little bit of cleanup here. All right, so another bowl done. Woo. Oh, I got an undercut. That was a very little piece of clay. All right, we'll do a one where we fold the rim out kind of more flat. We'll do that. Yes, plates, ribs and plates are really important, right? You got to have a good rib. Usually, it's always good to have a good rib when making your plates. All right, so this time for fun, let's make one that's a little bit, that has a bigger rim on it that we kind of flatten out. We'll talk about how we do that here in a second. Oh my goodness, look how uncentered that piece of clay is. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna spend some time kind of paddling it with my hands into round so that I don't have to battle it as much. There we go. Okay, here we go. Whew. There we go. Back down. Oh, there we go. Ooh, this one is really, oh, this one's really out of round. I mean, there's some, it needs help. All right, here we go up again. Oof. And then back down. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. One more time. One more time. One more time. This one's I just feel that this piece of clay has issues. Like There's a hard spot like whipping around. So maybe one more up and down one more time. All right, so I'm just going to cut it off. Something that we don't normally do much of, but we'll try it. See if we can trim it using this thing into round. There we go. Back up, back down. So for those of you who don't know, I'm making bowls for what we call an empty bowls kind of event on our campus. So we have like a food pantry on our campus for students to sign up. Really anyone I think can sign up, but it's mainly students can come by and pick up food for their families. For their family. All right, so here I just try to remember what I'm going to do. Okay, we're going to do something with a flattened out rim. So here we go. Down we go. So it's always good to remember what you're going to make before you throw the ball down even. And even as I go through the steps, I'm trying to keep track of what I want to make here out of this bowl, because that determines what I do in here and how I raise the bowl out and everything like that. Here we go. Raising up. Oh, there we go. I'm going to clean up this inside because it's bothering me a little bit. So I'm going to clean up this. There's a little bit of a high point here. So I'm going to finish, just try to kind of clean that up first. Yeah, that worked really good. Well, it's still high in the middle. There we go. All right, so now we go. So now it's a little bit thicker down here. So when I do this next raise, I'm going to squeeze a little bit harder down here and raise when I raise it up. I'll squeeze a little bit harder. There we go. Going up. There we go. And then now I'm really kind of letting off some pressure as I get up here. There we go. And then, oh, almost went. That was almost a rookie mistake. There. So what I did is I almost went whoop and pulled off the top because I was watching the camera, me throwing in the camera, not me. I wasn't really looking down. So I almost lost the top there. Pulled my hand off the top. So I'm thinking that I'm going to mess around with the rim. So I need to leave a little bit of strength, more strength here. But I think I'm going to do one more raise. Oh, no, it's pretty thin. So I'm not really going to make it too much taller here on this raise. There is an air bubble here, though. Right there. There's the air bubble. Let's bring it around so you guys can see it. Right there. Air bubble. Right there. So I'm just going to slice through it, cut through that air bubble, then force the air out really quick. Okay. Then we're going to take our sponge, clean up the inside, mop up the inside really good. All right, clean up all the extra stuff, and then we'll shape it for a little bit before we take the rim and fold it down. So I'm going to take this rib and push it out. Like that going down. Like that going down. Yeah. There we go. One more time. Oh, no, maybe not, because I'm forgetting. I want to fold the rim out down a little bit. I might have already messed that up. Why is that this is getting kind of weak for me. I can do it. Let's do it. All right, so I'm going to take this rim and I'm folding it downward. So I'm going to support it here a little bit and just fold for this outside hand and just start pushing here just a little bit. Now, a couple of things that the whole inside of this is done. Like I don't need to do really any more work here. Once I fold this rim over, this whole structure starts to get weak. So if I want to finish all my shaping from the inside out, and then I want to fold the rim over. So I support it a little bit from the outside, and then I start pushing this over and down. Let's go to that view. With that view there. Right, so you see how I'm doing that? Pushing that over. Ooh, it's not liking this at all. There we go. So trying it, right? So I'm trying to fold that over. Now, there is something funny happening here. If you look inside of here, it's bulging back inward. You can see the shadow here. And that's because as I'm folding this part over, that inside wall, as I'm folding this over, the inside wall is like bulging back in, right, a little bit. So we're going to try to fix that right now. So here I push this down just a little bit more, and then I'll come back here and push out from this side here, right here. And then I'll come back here, doing that again. Let's walk this rim down a little bit. So what I'm doing here is I'm walking, because I don't feel like this rim here has enough length. It just doesn't look good. It's a little weak for as far as like stature and width. So I'm practicing, I'm rolling this down here a little bit further. I'm pushing this down farther so I can grab more and bite off and push it out more. There we go. Whoa. Now, what does this rim really do for the pot as far as usability? I don't think, like, as far as does it hold more food than it did before? Not really, but it might make your bowl look more fun. And what else does it do? It gives me a place to decorate here, like with a different color. So I could add a different glaze here. I could add underglaze here. There's a lot of options. So what does it do? In a lot of ways, you can think of it as a frame for the food, right? So what does that mean, right? I could add a different color here, right, along the rim, and then within there could be like soup or something, and it could be a complementary color, right, to what I'm expecting to be on the inside. So it could help show off the food later. Now, the rim in itself doesn't actually do anything as far as function, as far as like it holds more stuff. No, right? In fact, it probably holds less stuff because I flipped it downward. And as far as like basic utility, like a utility bowl, it actually becomes less useful, right? Because you wouldn't now take this bowl and like mix like a dough or something in here, or something like, or a sauce. You wouldn't, or a whisk, or try to scramble eggs. Like it kind of transforms this bowl into something more. It could be more decorative now than it was before. Now I'm really now concentrating here on this rim, how it transitions from here to here. I'm really sharpening up that point there, and I'm taking this rib and taking my time now to smooth it. Now, in what I'm doing in here is I'm not really shaping, I'm not really trying to shape it at all. I'm just trying to make it look all smooth and happy, right? So that I don't want, so I won't have to do any work on it inside here later. That's my goal, at least. There we go. All right, so I'm feeling pretty happy about this. I've done with that. I've kind of mostly done with that. Let's look at it from the side. So I always want to, you see that's always like perked up a little. Whenever you throw these, they're a little bit turned up into the air. Why is that? It's because if I try to throw this perfectly flat, then it'll instantly collapse. So you need to throw these turned up a little, but it doesn't mean they need to be turned up this much. So after I feel like I've kind of gotten it, I can slowly push this down a little bit more. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now, a lot of times when you finish this, it isn't perfectly round here anymore, but this one's pretty close. But if we look closely at it, you'll see there's lots of garbage and stuff right at this very rim, right? You see it's not beautiful. So let's try to see if we could take the wet sponge here and just kind of dab this sponge against the side while spinning, see if that will clean it up. A lot of times that doesn't clean it up enough. Ooh, it's actually pretty good. The other thing we could do is, I mean, I will take my chamois to it, is you can cut this off using the needle tool, just like the way you cut off a regular rim, just and cut it off. But I think we're okay with just using the chamois on it, right, to round the rim. Ooh, I actually touched that edge with my rib. So let's erase that. We got to make it all beautiful again. I'm going to cut it off. So here, let's go top down. Here, I hold this like a pencil. I'm going to cut from the top down here like this. I'm bracing both my hands together. You see that? So this hand is holding this one lefty like a pencil. Right hand is pushing up against there to help me hold steady. These fingers right here are kind of cupping in from underneath the rim like this. So let's do this view then here like this. You see that? Because I want to cut this rim off round. So slice all the way through till I'm through. So I'm through all the way around. And then that little strip now will just come off. Woohoo, look at that. Now, perfectly round, beautiful rim. Oh, that feels so much better. And then now, since this clay is dry, I need to round it. So I'll take my sponge, wet it, squeeze it out a little bit, and then just dab that sponge on there while it's spinning. Right? And then what we're going to do here is now we go with chamois. Now let's chamois it up. Right? And then we'll take the chamois and we'll push this and really round that edge up really good. Being very gentle and going slow because this rim at the circumference is pretty wide here. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I'm pretty excited. If you guys have any comments or you have any questions for me, just throw them in the chat. Happy to answer them. If you have any questions about glazes or anything like that, let's just chime on in. Ask away or anything. Or even just talk about where you are. I'm from Portland, Oregon, if you guys didn't know that. I teach at a college called Mount Hood Community College. It's an awesome place. And I do lots of things there. I teach the ceramics classes. And I will also, believe it or not, if any of you guys teach, I am going to be president of our faculty starting in a couple of weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks. So that's going to be a big job, taking that on. And I just really enjoy working with people, and my students are awesome. The studio is awesome. We survived COVID as far as the studio goes, and our classes now are full. We're super excited. Ceramics classes are super popular. Anyway, everything's going great. So if you guys have any comments or questions, just throw them into the chat. Let's talk about stuff. So I'll just go over what I'm doing again. I am making bowls for what we're going to sell later to raise money for our soup kitchen on campus. So I'm making a variety of different sizes. Oh. Oh, hey. Wow, awesome. Yeah, it's a fun place. I really love working there. The studio's really nice. We have really good faculty. We have good tutors. And we have a good studio tech. Everything's going good out there. We're having such a good time. So if you're in the Portland area and you want to take classes, ceramics classes, think about signing up for ceramics classes at Mount Hood Community College. It is so much fun. I mean, we have a wood kiln that we fire every year. We're going to load it on the 9th of March. So coming up soon, next week, and we'll start it on the 10th. So it's lots of fun. Oh, see, I screwed that up because I wasn't watching. I was watching the video, not watching what I was doing. That was a total rookie mistake. I think I recovered. So that's what I get for not paying attention. All right, so I made that really thin too. I think it's okay though. So it's interesting, throwing while you're on camera like this is actually harder than throwing just by yourself. So here we go. Gonna widen this guy out. There we go. Right, so just making some simple bowl forms. So tomorrow the plan will be at some point I'll trim all these bowls that I make this week or today. I think I'll just leave them out and then I'll be trimming all these bowls tomorrow. So hopefully I'll live stream that as well. That's the plan at least. I don't know what time or anything, but the goal will be just to turn on all the cameras and live stream it again as well because it's more fun to be able to see you guys or at least answer your questions or talk or whatever while doing this. All right, so it's a very simple bowl form. Let's do the rim really fast again. Rimming, and then just do this. So, and then part of the deal, like, so how do you become a better potter? People ask that, is by doing a lot of this, right? And then funny thing is, how do you get even better at making bowls? Is you make a lot of things that aren't this, like you make bigger things, you make plates, you make vases, you make 20-pound pots, things like that. And then when you come back to making these again, you'll actually be much better at these then as well, right? These smaller bowls, and you'll be faster. And then other things you could do is think about, because people are always asking me, like, how do you get better, or how do I improve? Give me a second, I need to get more bats. I'm running out of table space. The way how you get better is you make a lot of things, right? And then you just make a lot of different things. And then sometimes you make them quickly. Sometimes you try to make them as fast as you can. And sometimes you make things very slowly and focus on quality, right? There's lots of different ways to do it. And it's really about doing the work, right? Ah. There we go. Whoa, this is a really small piece of clay. So I guess we're just going to make a really small bowl. Just the other half of that piece I just threw. So here we go. You guys have any more questions? Just holler it out. Thanks. I'm also very active in the local pottery association called the Oregon Potters Association, and I sit on the board and I do work for them. I record some of their YouTube videos, and that's lots of fun doing that. And I just really believe in education, right? And believing that ceramics really changed my life. Like being in the class kind of changed, I think, a lot of how I think about myself and what I ended up doing, right? I ended up teaching ceramics, and I want to be able, others that be able to have that opportunity as well. And I know that most people are not going to embrace ceramics as a thing. Oh, so the empty bowl event, you know, we haven't exactly decided, but it's coming up pretty quick. So it'll be at our campus probably the second week of the spring term. But no dates have been set, but it's going to come, for us, it's going to come fast. I think we're at week 8 now. No, we're at week 7, so coming on week 8. So we have 11 weeks, so we don't have that much time to make bowls. And I just want to make bowls for it, for my empty bowls thing that's going to happen on campus, and then show them to all my students, so then they will feel like they got to make some, because they all, I mean, it's really should be my students really making most of them. So I want to make them, and so they see that I made them. And then this bowl is not looking good. So what's going on here is I'm not even going to keep this bowl. So why not? It's just really weak here, and it's just a little bit too weak. I could tidy it up and make it look better, but it would be a real battle, and I don't want to take that time, and it might still kind of look bad. So instead of trying to battle and make this bowl look better, it's really thin there. I'm just going to cut it off. We'll wedge it up, and it'll come back to fight another day. Right? Because I could spend a few minutes trying to make that bowl be better, but then I don't know. All right, so let's go for a Mama-san. Mama-san size bowl. This is a bigger one. As far as like compared to the other size bowls I was making, this will be bigger. So the empty bowl event will be we think during what we call club fair, which is when all the student clubs on campus get together, set up tables, and they talk about, and they try to recruit students to join clubs. They do this in what we call the student union building. So which is the one of the main buildings where student life is and everything. So we're going to do that in there. I think the second week of the term, and there's lots of opportunity, and we're probably selling these bowls. And then what we're going to do is all the money that we raise from selling bowls will get donated to the Barney's Pantry, which is our campus food pantry for students to come get food and take it home to feed their families. And yeah. Super excited about that, and that's feel like it's a good way for us for my students to be able to give back to the community. right? So yeah, this is a little bit more clay. And since if you, I don't know if you guys have ever made bowls for empty bowls. So what's your, so anyone who's made bowls for empty bowls, what's your philosophy about making bowls? Do you make them as fast as you can? Do you make the normal bowls that you would normally make? Right? Do you make a different kind of bowl? Do you make them faster than normal? What's your ideas about when you make bowls for like an empty bowls event? Right? So for me, I don't normally make this kind of bowl, right? I just, I mean, I make these bowls when I'm demoing, but they're so generic, right? I make kind of other kinds of bowls. I use the roller stamps on bowls. I do other things. Today we're just trying to make a bunch of just decent bowls. So how do you cut off small pieces from throwing off the hump as with a flat? Oh, I could throw off the hump if you want me to. Give me a minute. I'll combine what I got left and we'll throw something off the hump. Now, I will admit I am not the best at throwing off the hump, but I do know how. And I'll show you a few tricks about that. All right, so after I get this guy off, we'll do a throwing off the hump thing. Here we go. So I'm using a bigger rib because this is a bigger bowl. It's a little bit thick, like I didn't throw this part as thin. So maybe we'll throw it just, no, we'll just leave it. So we'll leave it as a chunkier kind of bowl today. There we go. So we'll try throwing off the hump. How about that? Wouldn't that be fun? We'll bust out some bowls off the hump. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. Just a regular bowl. Very useful shape. I really like these shapes. We use this sort of bowl a lot around our house for like soup and noodles and stuff. It's so much fun. All right, so I wonder if I have enough wedge clay to throw one off the hump. We'll try it and see. Because there is a trick to wiring it off, which we'll show you. But it still takes practice, like anything. Throwing off the hump also takes practice. We'll talk about some of the drawbacks of throwing off the hump once we get going here in a second. Okay. Let's see here. So I even just undercut that just a little bit of clay off because that's all the clay is clay. I don't have to trim later. So I really like reaching under there and trimming that piece of clay off. All right, so let me put this one here. Okay, let's think here. How many do we got? I'm first going to count how many I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What? 4, 6, 8, 10. I got 10 bowls thrown so far. Woohoo! All right, so let's do a throwing off the hump a few. Yeah, so I got enough clay maybe to throw 3 bowls off the hump here total. It's really only 2 bowls off the hump because the last one ends up being on the wheel. So we're just going to combine these 3 pieces of clay here. Here we go. All right, so we're just going to combine these 3 I mean, really it's 2, but I think I've been dividing them up a little bit. So this isn't a huge piece to be throwing off the hump. Normally you would put a much larger chunk of clay down. Right, so we'll do this as if you don't know anything about throwing off the hump, right? So throwing off the hump means I'll get this big piece of clay stuck down, right? And I kind of paddle it centered like that a little bit, get it stuck down. Then I start centering just like normal, but I'm going to actually throw 3 separate pieces out of this one chunk of clay. So here I center a little bit. I make sure it's stuck down good. I'll center it like this, like normal, a little bit as I go up. Now go up like that. Maybe go down once, back all the way down, just to make sure it's stuck down really good. Now, It's not centered yet really well. You see that? But I'm only going to use this much chunk of clay to throw my next bowl. I'm not going to use this whole piece. So I only actually really need this part up here centered, the very top, like third or half or something. So I'm really hunkering in here. So you notice I'm not going to go all the way down here. I'm just going to start here and center from here. Okay, from there, not all the way down. So here, and I center here. I go up, and that's much easier to center. That's a really small piece, right? That's not huge. Centering this whole thing from down here will take a lot of effort, right? And I get this and I push it back down just like how I would a normal piece of clay, right? You see that? So you see how that's looking. Okay, maybe I should go up and down one more time just to make sure. One more time up and then one more time down. All right. Now what we're going to do is, so this is the piece of clay, maybe from here to about there, somewhere around in there, that we're actually going to use for making this bowl, right? So then I wet my hands and I just go down like normal, right? You see that? Just going down like normal, right? And then at some point we're just going to stop there, right? So we stop a little bit early, like we're not going to drill all the way down to the bottom or anything. And then we just widen this out a little. Now, there is a chunk of clay, like, let's go down on this one a little bit now. There is a chunk of clay here, right? So this goes down to about there. And then this is here, right? So these fingers are opposite each other, right? That's how much clay I'm really going to throw and make into the bowl. I kind of ignore all the rest of this clay, right? So we're kind of pretending that the wheel head is right here, right? And so I'm just going to throw this like kind of like normal. Now, there's another move that a lot of people do is that they will come in here into the interior and just kind of rib the bejeebus out of this interior section, which you can do. And they say that helps kind of compact the bottom. And yes, it probably does. So we'll just rib this inside a lot here. And then we'll continue the throw, right? Like that. Oh, be careful, John. I almost threw this whole thing too thin. I was just being way too aggressive. Right now, here we go one more time. Oh, it's looking pretty good. So I really don't need to do much more to this. It's feeling pretty good as far as thinness and how much action I got, like as far as height and everything. So now we're going to start finishing the pot. So I'm going to come through and just kind of wipe this down. I'm going to rib it on the inside a little bit. So what's the benefit of doing this? One is I already got my next piece of clay ready down here. So technically this should be a lot faster, the throwing, because I don't need to get another ball of clay ready, right? It's a lot speedier, right? There's more efficiency, but it means it's a new thing for you to learn. What do I mean by that? Well, throwing off the hump, if you don't know how to do it, it means you got to learn how to do it. And just like everything in ceramics, there's a learning curve to it, right? It's not anything different, right? You got to learn how to do. So there, you don't get an unlimited number of shapes. Like you can't throw a plate off of throwing off the hump, right? It's really cups and bowls are the things that are typically thrown off the hump. And not big bowls either, right? These are just like normal size bowls. So here, then I will do the rim. So this part's pretty normal. There we go. And then we'll come back. I'll just rib this top here again because that had a lot of smudge on it. Smudge. All right. So now let's look at this and how do we even get this off of here, right? Without it being all weird. Because at some point, right, there's the base of this, and we want to leave enough clay here to trim a foot off, but we don't want to chop it off way down here because then we leave too much clay, and then that's a problem. We don't want to chop it up too high because we'll end up cutting the bottom of our bowl out. So for practice sake, let's see, I need to find a regular needle tool here. All right, so for practice, oh, here's a more normal looking needle tool. All right, so for practice sake, let's just pretend that we want to look at where we want to cut through, right? Oh no, we can just do that through this way. So here, if we look carefully, let's say I cut it way up here. I already know that that's too high, but let's look, and then you see when I stick my needle tool, we're way too high. So definitely don't want to cut it there, right? So there's pretty good, but I can see the needle tool there sticking through. I can see the bulge. So maybe somewhere right about here. So I kind of knew that already, right? So there, and that looks like it'll leave me enough height here. I won't cut through the bottom. So how do we do that now, right? So to help us out here is I'm going to use this guy, and then see that's where I want to do it. I'm going to use this and just kind of poke it in there to create like a false shelf and a thin spot right there. You see that, how I created this like undercutty area? I just did something to, ooh, I just unplugged my light here. Sorry, give me a second. Technical difficulties. Let's plug this in over here then. And let's turn that light back on. Oh, wrong one. All right, so see how I undercut that there, right? And so what this makes it just a little bit easier now for me to wire this off. What do you mean, John? So here we're gonna take my wire tool. You see that? I'm gonna hold it really straight. Now I need to hold it level, right? If I am tilting this wire around, right? If I tilt it and cut it through, I'm gonna get something. I need to hold it as level as I can. Right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this wire tool here, holding as level. And then look at that. I already have a place. I let the wire tool hunker in there like that. You see that? And then I'm going to hold it tight. I can even choke up on it. So it's really, I'm really narrow. And then while the wheel's spinning, I really watch, try to hold it level, hold it level, hold it level, hold it level, hold it level as I cut all the way through. Yay. And then it should hopefully come off kind of level. Now you can see that I messed it up a little bit, but not too bad, and it pops off. Woohoo! You see that? And then I have my cup or my bowl or whatever. It's perfectly, I hope, perfectly awesome. Right? I'm trying to make room on one of my wear boards for it to live over there. That. So what's the benefit of cutting off the hump? Benefit is that I already have the next piece of clay already stuck on there, so that lessens the amount of time and things I need to do to get ready, right? So, and it's kind of half-centered, right? So supposedly it's faster, right? The drawbacks are that there are some, cutting it off level is hard. Getting it cut off at the right thickness can be hard as well. Like sometimes you cut it way too low, but as you get better, you'll get better. Now, the one thing that I kind of have problems with is S cracking on the bottom, and I've just never been able to figure that out, right? And so for me, I'm never in that big a rush that I feel like where throwing off the hump is kind of benefits me. Right? So I really don't do it, but there are people out there that are really good at throwing off the hump. There we go. So there, we'll do this one. So we'll see the whole process over again. So since I've never really gotten that great at this, you know, it's kind of like I'm kind of like an odd person for you to trying to learn this from, but I do my best to try to educate you guys on everything I can. So if I was going to make a bunch of test pieces, like I needed 100 bowls that were going to be test pieces, I would probably, and they needed to be bowls of some sort, I would throw them off the hump. Because it's just faster. There's a big air bubble in there. We have to pop it. So right there. So lance it. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. I think I got it. That was a big one. There's some really good videos about how to trim and not trim, how to throw off the hump out there. But like a lot of things that we do in ceramics, they requires some practice, right? It doesn't come easily at first sometimes. But if you do it and you're committed, you can learn how to do it, no problem. And be actually better at it, right? You can become really good at it, throwing off the hump. There's some people out there that are awesome, that are just so good. So here we're going to do the undercut thing again, try to locate where I'm going to cut it. Probably right there. I'll fold this. Oh, I did a horrible job there. Then we're going to use the wire tool. Now there are all sorts of other ways that you can do this that they're a little bit better as far as the wiring part, but the wire tool is what I got, so that's what we're using. I need to get another bat ready. Need to move these far away somewhere. I'll be back. Okay, so now I have a fresh bat to put things on, fresh wear board. Here we go, bam. All right, so I think I can get one more off of this, but then this piece really isn't thrown off the hump, it's just thrown on the wheel. All right, feels like enough clay for one more piece. Here we go. One more. One more. Woo! All right. I think this will be my last piece for today. As far as thing, let's think, how many did I make so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14, woohoo! So we're about halfway there. We'll be halfway there when I pull this piece off. As far as making 30 that I promised my students that I would make for the fundraiser, I'll have 30. So I'll just come back. I'll take a little bit of a break and come back later and throw a few more. Whoa. Man, John, I'm coming off the top. Total beginner amateur night on that. Gotta focus. I'll watch myself in the video throw. Hi, everybody. There we go. Oh, look at that. I look okay. There we go. Oh, I'm pretty thin. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. So then we'll use the rib and do some shaping. This will just be your run-of-the-mill, averagey kind of bowl. There we go. Smooth her out. And then, woohoo! Making a bowl. So I remember in undergrad when I first started throwing, all I loved making were bowls. I would just make bowls, 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 bowls. All day long. It was so much fun. Even after doing it for a couple of years, that's all I was making was bowls, bowls, bowls. And it was great. I think because bowls, the ceramics, right? We all know that ceramics, bowls, the clay naturally kind of responds to being bowls, right? It wants to be a bowl because the way how the wheel spins and the way how the clay loves to spread out, right? And so, oop, I just ripped that clay off of there. Okay, we'll see what happens. So everything loves to be bowls, right? At least for me. So I was just making bowls all the time. I just love making them. And for when I'm making bowls like this, it really kind of goes back to those days, right? When I was more of a beginning potter and making these kind of things all the time, right? There we go. Look at that. So fun. It's so weird, like looking up at the video, I can see in a lot of ways better than what I get when I'm looking down. So you guys actually see better what I'm doing than what I'm seeing. Because, right, we all know the view, right? That you're right over it. And so I kind of have a hole there. You see, oh, you guys can't. Oh, yeah, you can. I kind of have a hole there. That was where the air bubble was. And when I popped it, it was such a funky ass air bubble that it left the blob there. So I'm going to try to stuff some clay in there, I think. I'm going to try to stuff a little hunk of clay in there and then smooth it out over, maybe. I don't know if this is a good idea, John. I have two choices. Really, I could try to fix this now, or I can try to fix it when it's leather hard before I trim. I think, okay, so I know for sure I'd be able to fix it leather hard when I'm trimming, but why do that later and play it safe when I could mess it up right now? That's my opinion. So I just plop the little clay in there, and then we'll try to smooth it over with one of the red Michael Sherrill mud tool ribs, because it's super soft, and I just got to run that over a few times. Let's see how it looks. Oh, these red ones are so good. It's still, oh my God, it's still there. All right, so I'm going to stuff another piece of clay in there. You know, that might have been something just, I don't know. Let's see if we can just fix it by blobbing that. Trying again, maybe one more time. What did I do with that rib? Okay. I thought I was doing so good. Just trying to smooth it out over time. Okay, so it's almost gone, right? Maybe if I do some manual smoothing over it, right? Now, in the end, is this a big deal? Like, will people notice this? Will it be a flaw? Will it be a whatever? In the end, I don't think it's really going to matter because I've already taken care of it some now. And then later when I'm trimming it, or before I trim it or something, I'm going to come back and maybe rib it over again, right? Till it goes, till it's almost invisible. And then remember, it's going to get glazed. So it's right there, I think, right? So you can still see it a little bit, but now it's mostly dealt with. So let's pull that back and thing. So I think, and then I'm going to undercut it, right? And then we'll be... There, look at that. Undercut, beautiful. Oh, did I do the rim? I don't think I did the rim. Because I got distracted by the other thing. So here I got to do the rim again. There, and we'll re-rib this part. I think we're good. Yeah, I think that's it for that one. Then I'll put this over here with the rest of them. All right, so that was the last one for the off the hump batch. Right. All right, so I think I'm at 15. So I'm halfway to my goal of 30. Okay, so I will do the live stream sometime tomorrow. I haven't really decided when I'm going to do that. That's a good question. I don't know, right? It depends on when. Now that I have all the cameras and everything set, I had to move the cameras over. I don't know. I don't know when I'll live stream tomorrow. But I will live stream again tomorrow when I'm trimming. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I still got 15 more to make, so if I feel up to it, I'll turn all the cameras back on, right? And maybe we'll live stream some more later today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.